بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولما دخلوا على يوسف آوى إليه أخاه قال إني أنا أخوك فلا تبتئس بما كانوا يعملون. So when the brothers entered upon Yusuf alayhi salam, the father commanded to go to Egypt again, but from different routes, and this time they have got Benjamin with Benjamin with them as well. So as soon as they entered, he took his brother to himself. Yusuf alayhi salam took Benjamin to himself, and he said, indeed, I am your brother. So do not despair over what they have done to you, what they have done to me. Meaning that Yusuf alayhi salam obviously knew his brother, so he just took him to the side, and they were made to stay in the same room, in the same lodge, in the same area, where they were obviously in the seclusion having chat. So Yusuf alayhi salam then mentioned that I'm your brother. And obviously he was very happy to find this out. And he said that don't worry, I'll keep you with me. He wanted to stay with him as well. فلما جهزهم بجهازهم جعل السقاية في رحل أخيه ثم أذن مؤذن أيتها العير إنكم لسارقون. So when he had finished and furnished them with their supplies, he put the gold measuring bowl into the bag of his brother. Then an announcer called out. The caller said, "O people of caravan, you have been stealing. You are thieves." And it is obviously a big thing. That was the plan from Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. So there is a question. First one is, Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, knowing that his father is very upset, he's missing Yusuf, and now he's going to miss his younger brother as well. And how could he allow that grief to father? Isn't that against the husn suluk, the beautiful treatment that you should do to your parents, let alone a father who was a prophet as well? And secondly, you're accusing an innocent person. You're accusing them of theft, as a slander, as a trick. How could you do that as a prophet? Obviously, both valid questions. Some commentators say that Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, when he discloses to his brother that he is his true brother, Yusuf, who was being missed for many years, Benjamin himself asked to stay back. He wanted not to go back with brothers, as they've been not quite nice to him. Yusuf alayhi salam then said, then it will be trouble for father, and we should not try to harm him anymore. And then when the brother consistently asking the same thing, he persisted with that. Yusuf alayhi salam then said, okay, there's one way I can figure out, which is to blame you of theft. If that's the case, then we should be able to keep you. So obviously he wanted to not stay with the brothers, rather stay with his true brother, Yusuf alayhi salam. He agreed to that. So that's a group of commentators would say, but that doesn't appeal actually. The more appropriate answer would be that Allama Qurtubi and Imam Sanaullah Panipati rahmatullah alayhi in Tafsir Madhari, he said, this was divinely inspired. That was Allah's plan. And the next ayat, or the few ayat down, this is what has been confirmed. There's a hint to this. Allah says, كَذَلِكَ كِدْنَا لِيُوسُف. This is how we planned for Yusuf alayhi salam. So this is Allah's plan. So Allah gave him this wahi to say it like this. Now you may see something appearing wrong or Sharia wise not appropriate, but obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could command anything and everything, whatever he feels is appropriate. It's like the story of Khidr alayhi salam. You know, had a young boy who was playing with people, with other friends. Khidr alayhi salam just killed him. And Musa alayhi salam couldn't tolerate that. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He gives revelation to the Prophet to say and say to do certain thing, they have to do it. That becomes a binding. So he only did what he was asked to do, and that makes much more sense. And it's in keeping with the ayah which is coming afterwards. Anyway, قالوا وأقبلوا عليهم ماذا تفقدون. They said, well, confronting them, they returned back as they had left. It wasn't that immediately. So as soon as they left and they were within the boundaries of the palace, so they just started making this noise, and they just returned back and said, what is that you're missing? قالوا نفقد صواع الملك ولمن جاء به حمل بعير وأنا به زعيم. They said, we are missing the measure of the king, and for he who produces it is the reward of a camel's load, and I'm responsible for it. So the caller announced that. So it is valid from this, we understand, to make a general announcement that a particular award or remuneration will be paid to anyone who performs a particular act. The reward can be put. And he said that I stand surety for this. To suggest that we can have guarantor for the financial rights on behalf of someone else. The person who announced obviously wasn't Yusuf now was someone from his palace, from his workers. So he could do that. So he took the responsibility. And it's fine to do so. A subtle difference, but generally it is accepted, especially for cash and financial items. قالوا تالله لقد علمتم ما جئنا لنفسد في الأرض وما كنا سارقين. They said, by Allah, you know that we haven't come here all the way to cause corruption in the land. We've been before. We've not been thieves. This is not our way. You know that we're not thieves. And obviously, they're not thieves. قالوا فما جزاؤه إن كنتم كاذبين. So the accusers said, then what would be the punishment? What would be the recompense if you turn out to be liars? قالوا جزاؤه من وجد في رحله فهو جزاؤه كذلك نجزي الظالمين. They said, as a compensation, the person in whose bag the stuff is found, he himself will become the recompense. Means he will be made to stay behind as a slave. Thus do we recompense the wrongdoers. This was known to Yusuf alayhi salam. That is why he plotted like this. He planned like this. فبدأ بأوعيتهم قبل وعاء أخيه ثم استخرجها من وعاء أخيه كذلك كدنا ليوسف ما كان ليأخذ أخاه في دين الملك إلا أن يشاء الله نرفع درجات من نشاء وفوق كل ذي علم عليم. So the man who announced, he began the search, started from all the brothers, and then he extracted it from the bag of his brother, which is Benjamin. Thus did we plan for Yusuf. Thus did we plan for Yusuf. He could not have taken his brother within the religion of the king except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala willed. We raise in degrees whom we will. But over every possessor of knowledge is one more knowledgeable. And that is one of the important key points that we need to keep an eye on. And always make it a point of your life. One of the principles of your life. Now, whatever you know, there's someone who is more knowledgeable than you. Within the world, within your area, but also above everyone is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So never be boastful or arrogant about the knowledge or about the things that you have got knowledge of. Because we know that there's someone over and above us. So arrogance in knowledge is one of the commonest diseases and yet most difficult to get rid of. Because when you have knowledge and people praise you, you start believing that. Sooner or later, it becomes a norm for you to hear people saying, you're Sheikh so-and-so. So we should be controlling our nafs against this haughtiness, feeling big about yourselves. Staying in the company of scholars always help, because then you realize your worth. They know better. So when you hear them talking and you feel that actually they have a lot of knowledge, it humbles you down a bit. That's why online learning from Google and Yahoo, and then all those sort of things where you can flip on and off whenever you want, that's not the right way. Anyway, this hila that he has done, this is called hila shar'iyya. Hila, find an excuse, a way out, shar'iyya, Islamic. So a lawful device to avoid a real hardship. This is something which Allah said that we have done it for use of it. There has to be conditions that must be fulfilled. So we can't just go for this hila sharia. Some people do that, and that's wrong. The action should not cause the invalidation of the injunction of sharia. There should be no cancellation of any of the rules of sharia. Otherwise, it would be haram to do hila shar'iyya. For example, finding an excuse to avoid zakah. So you know that next month my zakah time is coming in the next few weeks, for example. I will give all my saving as a gift to someone in the family. For example, your wife. And before next year or before her anniversary for zakat date, she gives it back to you, saying that, oh, I never had it for whole year. I never had it with me. It's just been returned back. And keep yo-yoing between the two, and no one pays the zakat, thinking that, we have saved ourselves. That's a hila, and that's haram hila. We are cancelling the law. And you don't want to fast. You said, you know what? I don't want to fast tonight. It's just too hot. What I would do, I would just set out towards Birmingham. So once I've gone out of 48 miles, I wouldn't be required to fast. I can excuse myself with fasting, and I will fast in winter months. It becomes easy. Again, haram. To hunt for such excuses and devices has brought divine punishment on some nations, as we know. The people of Sabbath, they were people from the followers of Musa alayhi salam. And they used to live by the riverbank, and they used to have a lot of fishes there, which they would thrive on. So they would put their nets on, collect them in the morning, sell them out, and then they would just depend on that a lot. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to test them. Allah suggested that you should worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they said, could we just have one day rather than every day? Because it's too risky and too cumbersome for us. Okay, fine. They selected Saturdays, which is Sabbath. Sabbath or Sabbath in Arabic as well means Saturday. The Saturday. In Arabic, it's called Sabt. Ashabu Sabt. Sabt. So they worship whole week. They worked whole week except for Saturday, which is just dedicated now for the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They kept going for a few weeks, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to test them. And they would find that in normal days when they're working, there aren't enough fishes. But when it comes to Saturday, the area is filled with fishes to the point that they can actually pick it up. They don't need net to pick those up. We started feeling a bit greedy about it. What do? We can't miss this opportunity every week. It's been happening for a few weeks now. But come next day, they're all gone. So some of them decided to dig holes, did a little bit trenching, close to where the fishing would come. So when the waves would draw them close to the shore, they would just go in those trenches or in those ditches, and the water would be returned back in the morning. So the Saturday, they wouldn't do any hunting, and the trenches would be created a day before, which is Friday, and they will be able to collect the fishes from there on Sunday morning. That way they would have taken the benefit of these extra fishes coming on the shore on Saturdays. This is their way, although they never went against the agreement, which was Saturday, no hunting. And they didn't hunt on Saturday, but they said, we're only doing it on Friday. And again, that was to circumvent the Sharia rule. So a group of them did it. Another group stopped them and they didn't do themselves. The third group didn't stop, but just stayed away. Anyways, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punished this third group, the group that actually hunted by creating those ditches. And they were made to become monkey. So this is what happens. We circumvent Sharia for our poultry gains. So that is not allowed. And it gives you double the sin, because you're committing a haram action anyway, and you're just trying to dodge or cheat Allah and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imam Bukhari has written a book called Kitab al-Hiyar on this anyway. قالوا إن يسرق فقد سرق أخ له من قبل فأسرها يوسف في نفسه ولم يبدها لهم قال أنتم شر مكانا والله أعلم بما تصفون. They said, if he steals this brother, which is Benjamin, even his brother has done the same. Yusuf alayhi salam kept this within him and did not reveal it. In his heart, he said, you are worse in position. Allah is most knowing of what you're describing. You're saying something wrong, because you're charging me of theft, and I never was a thief. What they were referring to was this incident where, when Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, obviously you know that he left. Well, he was very young when his mother passed away while giving birth to Binyamin. So the both young boys were left on their own. So there was a time when he was with his maternal aunt. The maternal aunt was looking after them, and especially Yusuf, and he was so lovely and nice that the maternal aunt was so close, and they built a very nice relationship. She's like a mother now. I wanted to keep the baby with her for a longer time. The brother came, Yaqub alayhi salam, and said, I'm taking my son back, but to attend to my chores and my activities, my dawah work and all the rest of it. She said that when father comes and collects you, would you like to stay with me? Yusuf alayhi salam, loving paternal aunt, said that yes, no, why not? He said, okay, I'm going to help you with something. You're not going to say anything, you stay quiet, and I would do the issue. So she got the precious waistband, which was passed down to her from Ibrahim alayhi salam to Ishaq alayhi salam to now him. And she was the keeper of that. She tied that to Yusuf alayhi salam's belly and kept it there. And on top of the clothing, there was normal clothes. And when she started shouting that I've lost my father's waistband, some say it was a shirt or whatever. And he was like, we don't know. I'm going to search everyone. And she started searching, and she searched everyone in the family, in the neighborhood, or whoever was close to them. And she could retrieve it from inside the shirt of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. And then she said, okay, since you have stolen it, you're going to be my slave, as the tradition goes. And Yaqub alayhi salam, are you going to charge your own son about this? This is like, nephew, it is very dear and closer to him. No, this is a serious matter. It's about my dad's, trust. I'm not gonna let it go. So no matter what, I'm gonna make him my slave. And that's how Yusuf alayhi salam was kept with the mother, with that better aunt for longer term. This is what Ibn Kathir mentioned. So in Ruh al-Ma'ani, the tafsir of Allama Alusi, there are about 5 different opinions. One of them is that he used to take some food from his plate and give it to poor people outside. And they say, oh, he stole the food. He wasn't stealing, he was just having his food shared with some people. Imam Qurtubi said none of those things happen. It's actually that they concocted this lie without any shame. There was no episode at all. I mean, no proven episode in any of the Sahih Hadith. They say it's just like, people created this. So the brothers had this lie created against Yusuf alayhi salam. Anyway, the brothers were so shocked because they could not take it. They were like, we promised our father to bring him back. What do we do? So قالوا يا أيها العزيز إن له أبا شيخا كبيرا فخذ أحدنا مكانه إنا نراك من المحسنين. They said, oh Aziz, oh Sheikh, oh Amir, oh Imam, whoever you are, the leader, indeed he has a father who is an old man. So take one of us in place of him. Indeed, we see you as a doer of good. You are muhsin, a good person. Please make one of us as your slave. Keep them with you, but leave him alone because his father would be very, very upset. قال معاذ الله. Yusuf alayhi salam said, I seek Allah's refuge. أن نأخذ إلا من وجدنا متاعنا عنده إلا من وجدنا متاعنا عنده إنا إذا لظالمون. That we seek Allah's refuge, that we take except him with whom we found our possession. Indeed, we would then be unjust. Can't do that injustice. So this is how Yusuf alayhi salam managed to keep the brother with him for a longer term. So inshallah we leave that there.